Hi, my name is Oluwaseun Manoa. My banner ID is B00504325. Today I'll be talking about influencing consumer perception of electric vehicles, the acronym of EV. So before I start, I would like to talk about what an electric vehicle is. An electric vehicle are vehicles that are either partially or fully powered on electric power. Electric vehicles have low running costs as they have less moving parts for maintaining, and also every environmental is very environmental friendly as they use little or no fossil fuel. On the long run, we can also say that electric vehicles they use clean energy that prevents pollution. Electric vehicles have zero tailpipe emission, making them greener and better use for environment than petrol or diesel. We can also talk about the advantages of an electric vehicles, which are the electric cars are energy efficient. Their electric cars are reduce emissions. Electric car requires low maintenance. Electric cars are lower running cost. Electric cars are better driving experience. They are cleaner environments and they increase resales value. We can also talk about the disadvantages of the electric car. They can't travel as far as fueling cars are. Electric cars are sometimes more expensive. They are higher upfront costs. There are range limitations. They have time to charge battery, lack of charging station and infrastructure. When we talk about the advantages of the electric vehicle, they provide a more favorable position, greater opportunity or favorable outcome. E.g., it's just like when we say when a football team plays a game in their home stadium. That's what I was saying. So what we also say about the low cost running. On an average, an electrical costs less than £1.30 to drive 100 miles. Based on Glow Electric, the 35 tariff is 35% tariff during off-peak hours. They are also cheaper service and maintain low or no vehicle tax. So it also has a better driving. The electric vehicles have more responsive acceleration and regeneration braking when ease off the accelerator. They have no congestion charge. Some areas are introducing clean air zones with fees designed to discourage pollution vehicles from entering certain areas. So the next slide here, we'll be talking about the introduction to influencing consumer perception of electric vehicles. Electric vehicles developed and sales are being pushed by current environmental concerns. Although rapid worldwide economic and technological progress has the civilization of humans, it has also wreaked havoc on the global ecological environment. This has led to consideration of the environment and its improvement in long run. First, new energy vehicles, which is electrical vehicles, is an example of one of the answers to environmental problems. In light of the CO2 emissions and the depletion of fossil fuel reserves, the adoption of electric vehicles can be viewed as a precautionary measure and guarantee for future security. The use of battery electric vehicles has been considered as a solution to minimize dependency while also providing environmental and economical benefits. During the year 2020, more than 50 million tons of carbon dioxide, equivalent to GHG emissions, were saved by the use of electrical vehicles globally. Next slide, we're still talking about the introduction. Unlike its gasoline-powered cars, which run on consumption energy, an electrical car runs on electricity and it's not adequate supply of electrical energy from batteries to work effectively. It surpasses traditional vehicle in terms of usage of fuel. its maintenance and the emission of carbon, as well as the convenience of easy charge, a smooth ride and lessened noise from the engine. According to Hiffman, there's a strong negative acceptance of electrical vehicle, tremendously resistance to electrical vehicles adoption because changing the trend from acceptance of gasoline cars to EV necessitates widespread dissemination and trust in electrical vehicle segment. The challenge of EVs usage is to increase global ownership of electric vehicles, develop its battery production technology and the EV materials specification, deploy electric vehicles charging stations, conserve energy and fuel, reduce the GH emission, and take other precautions that are beneficial to environmental sustainability and green environment. The next slide, we'll be talking about the market for electric vehicle. The electric the electric vehicle market is divided on the basis of types of vehicle, class of vehicle, its speed, the vehicle drive type, and based on religion slash place. It is mostly distinguished by type. Battery electric vehicle, that is the acronym BEV, while the PHEV, the acronym which is the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, and the electric hybrid vehicles, which is the HEV. Battery electric vehicles are rechargeable batteries and no gasoline energy, while the plug-in hybrid electric vehicles recharge its batteries by connecting to external source of electrical power. The hybrid electric vehicle is powered by both fuel gasoline and electricity. The number of light electric vehicles on the road in 2019 was just 9% higher than in 2018. This was a significant departure from the preceding 6 years' growth rate, which ranged from 46% to 69%. The COVID-19 pandemic has a negative impact on the global market for sort of cars in 2020, but growth picked up in the fourth quarter and increased further in 2021 by 4.6%. The electric vehicle market value is $163 billion in 2020 globally, and it is forecasted it is a forecasted value by 2030 that it will be $823.75 billion by 2030. That is a CAGR for 18%, 18.2% from 2021 to 2030. The cost of an EV is a 40% battery. Government policies remain driving force behind the EV sales growth. The next slide is talking about the EV outlook, the sales and market share. You'll see that globally that the volume went high by 2021. It went high. It went high. They started with a low value, and by the time they got to 2021, the volume became high. Their shares increased, their sales increased more. The next slide, we'll be talking about the consumer perception on electric vehicle. A reason for the non-acceptance of EV may be the experience, comfort, safety, and reliability on traditional fuel cars, while also the avoidance of risk and uncertainties in adopting a new technology. Two, the significant improvements in the EV technology and a vast majority of electric cars models have helped also to stimulate consumer perception of. Thirdly, the environmental awareness of consumers and acceptance of a new technology also influence consumers' perception. The battery cost of EVs and the location of charging station have caused negative perception of consumers towards its purchase. The next slide, we'll be talking a bit about the theoretical background. The theoretical background of this study is the technology acceptance model. That is the term. The term was drawn out of the theory of reasoned actions. The term is used to test for the perception of a new technology or a technology on consumers. And the fourth one says the external factor influence on the internal factor. That's the belief, the attitude, and the behavior intention shows the explanation of term. We'll be going to the next slide is the technological acceptance of the model. Tom explains that perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use will thus affect attitude of consumers as regards the use of a technology and in turn cause the consumer to behave in a specified manner. Secondly, to explain consumers' attitude, behavior, the perceived usefulness and the perceived ease of use will be affected by external factors. Thirdly, perceived ease of use is the opinion of individuals on the ease or difficulty in using a technology. Fourthly, a perceived usefulness is an individual belief in technological improvement of a new system, the efficiency of that technology. And fifthly, the perceived ease of the use has an effect on the consumer perceived usefulness of the technologies. The next slide talks about the term framework, which is, I said earlier, the a perceived usefulness, the external variables, the attitude towards using, the behavior intention to use, the actual system to use. So when we talk about the perceived usefulness, is the subjective perception of users where they believe that using certain technologies can improve the performance of their work. While the attitude towards using, it's a feeling or opinion about something, especially when it shows in your behavior. Then the behavioral intention to use, it's a point to which a person has put together conscious plans to perform or not perform some specific future behavior. The actual system use, it's a design where people use the technology. The external variables are also known as global variables, and these variables are defined outside the functions. Lastly, while the perceived ease of use, it's a point to which a person's belief that is using a particular system will be free from his effort. That's all about the terms framework. I just added more light to explain the framework. Now, next slide is the application of term on consumers' perception on electrical vehicles. As an application of term, electrical vehicles can also use the term model to accept the behavior of consumers in its usage. It said this theory presents itself on consumer perception on electrical vehicles in its elements, attitude, behavior, intention, use behavior, perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use. They are all explained as follows. Attitude affecting consumer perception. A positive or a negative evaluative system expressed by a user of electrical vehicle or the manufacturers reflects a person's feeling about the use of electrical vehicles. Behavioral intention affects consumers' perception. It shows the willingness of consumers to try out electrical vehicles in the face of other alternatives. Use behaviors affecting perception. The actual behavior of consumers to this new kind of technology, which is the electrical vehicles. Perceived usefulness affecting consumer perception. The adoption of the use of the electrical vehicle, increasing the subjective perception of electrical vehicle works efficiency. The extent to which electrical vehicle can improve its productivity is going forward on the application. A perceived ease of use of electrical electric vehicles affects consumer perception. Electric vehicles technology makes consumer believe that using this form of vehicle will be easy. It tends to shape consumers' perception on its usage being easier than traditional fuel vehicles. In the context of its usage, consumer perception and behavior is affected by the concern of global climate and the need to keep its environment safe by substituting gasoline vehicle for electric vehicles. In conclusion, as improvements in the technicality of electric vehicle and its price is reduced, consumers' perception about the product will be positive and become drawn to it. The primary element impacting consumers' perception of electric vehicle is not only by design and building it to meet consumer needs, but also to popularize electric vehicle. It's only popular in China, fair in the US and Europe, but unpopular and less used in other parts of the world. To attract consumers and foster the long-term development of the automobile industry, the government and the producers should consider expanding visibility of electric vehicle and create better battery and charging system. Thank you.